to really thank the folks that have come here, such as Mayor John Heading and Council Marlis McPherson is here, and Red Robert Davis came here on his crutches. It was awesome. I'd also like to thank Scott Collins for being here today, as well as Scott Graham. I see Jennifer Little even came to this, as did Liz and Megan. Thank you for being here. And I'd also like to say a special congratulations to Terry Hicks. Congratulations on the almost opened Salty Sister Hotel on the Embarcadero. I'm just thinking, come on, everybody, let's give her a hand. It's going to be our newest accommodations, and they are amazing and flexible. So yet another complimentary lodging that we have. And complimentary is camping, RVs, VRBOs, Airbnb, hotels, motels. I think that we all play a great part in what Morro Bay brings to the table. I'd also really like to thank my past board members. I'd really like to thank Sean Green, Ken Clark, Taylor Newton, Maggie Jurin. They really helped me become part of this board. We're all excited about the launch of our new website, and I think that's a pretty big step in where we're headed. You know, I always like to think she's the captain of the ship, and we're the crew helping her on our course. Listen to that. I think it's that's pretty funny. Only in Morro Bay, that's right. With mental marketing guiding our way too, with us guiding their actions, we have seen some really incredible press releases, some really amazing action on our website, really some big changes again coming, and as well as getting the statistics, the data that we need so that we can be more competitive. And with the board pushing you guys to do that, you know, we just keep getting better. We have a comp set that's pretty incredible, you guys. We have competition out there, starting with SLO. They're our big competitors. Again, Pismo, Cayucas, San Simeon, Cambria. They're complementary competitors, and we're all in this tourism game for San Luis Obispo County. We want them here. What we want is high ADR, high occupancy. We want to be the leader, and it takes a team of dedicated volunteers to help guide that. I also think it's important to note that Highway 1 was closed for a long, long time. 17 and 18, we had a long, long closure. People still are concerned because of the sporadic closures on Highway 1. My guests ask, is it open? Will I be able to do it? Still to this day because of the sporadic closures. We also had a great snow year. So what we saw in the first quarter were people skiing. You know, I had groups that actually said, we're not coming to Morro Bay, we're going to Tahoe, we're going to Mammoth, and change their plans. That didn't help us, but you know what? It helped the state get out of a drought. So we have a nice long meeting today, so I'm going to cut it short and just say that I'm proud of Morro Bay, proud of our TBID board, proud of the council, and I'm looking forward to working through the challenges and through the positive promotion and launch of our new website. So thank you all.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you guys see me if I sit? Because all my stuff's on this table. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. We're going to do two things. We have the website over here, which I'm going to show you last. We're very excited about it, and we're going to focus on this screen over here, which is the PowerPoint. And first thing we need to do is go through the 17-18 annual report. So we have copies of the annual report. If anybody wants a copy, they're welcome to grab one off the table if you don't have one. And I'm just going to run through some of the highlights. So let's see. Where do I point this over here? So Charlie I think he introduced the board. We're glad to have a full crew of board this year, which is really nice. It's the first year that I've had full 7 seats occupied, and I'm thrilled about that. So influencing is still always the same. We keep on the funnel. We keep really, really focused on that funnel. Visit USA to bring people into our country. Visit California to bring them into the states. SoCal is responsible for into our county. And then we try to focus the majority of our dollars on getting them into our physical hotels. So that is my first goal and foremost goal. In 17-18, we had a total of 258,000 click-throughs on morrowbay.org, which is pretty strong. It's significantly up over the year before. And this is our old website that was faltering and not working well. And so, we are expecting really good things with our new site, getting ready to be full force here soon. We had, out of those click-throughs, we had 46,342 hotel referrals. That means those are direct book referrals. And, of course, we don't have the option to see if they actually book with you guys. We can see a percentage of them, but not all of them. But that's what those clicks are, is actually going to your physical websites for a direct book versus doing an OTA booking, which we all know we don't want. The Visitor Center, which is located across the street, is managed by the Morro Bay Chamber of Commerce. And in 17-18, they had 5,700 visitors. Out of those, 43% were here for day stays. They were just coming through either on the way north or south and wanted more information, possibly how to see the rock. Is it in the middle of the water, or can we, you know what, I'm sorry, I just remember we didn't open public comment. Were we supposed to open public comment, Charlie? Well, but Christine is here from the aquarium. I don't know that she can stay. Can you stay, Christine? Yes. You're okay? Okay, sorry about that. And then 15% of those were business referrals to lodging, restaurant, retails, and recreation. We attended two of the big trade shows that we usually do every year. One is the IPW, which is part of the SoCal booth. And so that's a really nice combination because we work in conjunction with Michael from the county, and he really helps us get into new groups that we usually would not get to see. And then also we attended Go West. We've done Go West now 3 years, and we're seeing significant bookings for groups through Go West. So I think it's a really great channel for us. In 17-18, Charlie went for us to represent us. I was unable to go, and I appreciate him doing that. Domestic group travel, we're seeing a little bit of a pickup. It was really slow in 17-18. I mean, we just saw dramatic change with Highway 1 being closed that entire year, and it literally opened 20 days after the year ended. So the entire year, Highway 1 was closed. So getting people to actually come in this area was really hard. It was definitely a challenge, and I think we did really well on it. One of the things that we did was mental marketing, and our office sat down immediately when it closed, and we talked about how do we redirect our money. And we moved money really quickly to redirect it, and we put additional money into the ad spend so that we could try to offset the loss of revenue that we knew we were going to see during 17-18. During the year, we funded 17 events, and that was a general fund contribution. Those events were funded through, and the events saw a total of 44,300 visitors to the events. We've worked really hard to solidify and grow our strategic partnerships. One of them is with Cal Poly. We are definitely the destination to visit when WOW Week is happening. You'll see, if you're out during WOW Week, you'll see piles of Cal Poly students in groups experiencing Morro Bay, probably for the first time. And that's a really great thing to do because they are connect to their parents when they come to visit. So we're connecting through that. We also are in the Cal Poly calendar. This is their calendar that comes out every year. And we're actually the only city that's in here. And this goes to every incoming freshman. So they all have them in their dorm room, and the calendar shows all of our events and everything that's going on in Morro Bay. So it's a great coup for us to be able to grab that from anybody else. I'm trying to be quiet about it because I don't think anybody's figured it out yet. 17-18, we were on the cover of the Central Coast Tourism Council roadmap. This is the most used roadmap in California. They print 225,000 maps, and it's mainly in California visitor centers. So as you're traveling across California, you can pick up the map, and being on the cover was really huge. We also, the image on the right is the back cover. We're on the back cover for this coming year. It should come out hopefully in the next 30 days. And I mean, we have them in our office, and you can never tell the front from the back. I mean, they flip back and forth. So getting the back cover for year 2, I think, is a really strong thing for us, and I'm happy to have that connection with CCTC. The SLO-Cal partnership has grown really strong. We've done a lot of outreach with their film group, and I think they're actually going through transition, trying to get somebody new to start managing the film commission. But in 17-18, we had Showtime come film The Affair here, and they were here for, I think, almost 2 weeks filming. It was really great, and great shots of Morro Bay. HGTV filmed a segment here on beach bargains to buy a house. I mean, it was amazing. I don't know where they found a house for under $400,000, but they did, and they bought it, and they renovated it. So that was interesting. But we do a lot more than just the film commission with SLO-Cal. One of the things we do is we host a lot of their incoming groups, whether it's travel, trade that Michael will bring in, trying to get these different travel groups to realize our destination, get them off that normal path of LA, San Francisco, and stop in the county. So that's been really well. And they've also connected us with the different Visit California foreign offices. So in 17-18, we hosted the Netherlands office, and they have since been really pushing out Morro Bay as a place to come and stay. So that's been a really strong alliance for us. So one of the fun things that happened was Visit California. They brought Dream Drive here. So this was to announce the reopening of Highway 1. I'm very emotional about it because Highway 1 was a really big deal for us to have closed. So they brought in international journalists. They brought in one person from all these different countries, and they each drove one car from Monterey down to Morro Bay, ending at our rock, which is amazing. And then after that, they stayed in Morro Bay. Most of the journalists stayed here for a 2-day FAM that SLO-Cal coordinated after that. So we got huge exposure from that. We also had a lot of rooms booked from that. But more importantly, that long-term exposure, we're still seeing really good exposure. One of the people that I toured around quite a bit was a lady from National Geographic, and she wanted to learn and talk about the history of the rock. And so we spent a lot of time on that. So I'm still hoping to see something from National Geographic. I mean, that's just a huge coup for us if we can get that done. So that was a really exciting time. I know a lot of you got to come down for that event, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It won't happen again, hopefully, right? But it definitely won't happen in Morro Bay. I'm sure they would take it somewhere else. So looking at the numbers, annually, we were fairly flat for the year. Again, I looked at all the surrounding communities on Highway 1, and they just had such bad drops. I mean, it was really difficult, especially the farther north you got. And I think we did really well holding our own during the Highway 1 closure. Our occupancy stayed pretty strong, but that was mainly because the hotels did reduce rates slightly. The ADR, if you take a look at the ADR, the month over month from 16 to 17, the year before was slightly higher, but I mean, we still held pretty well considering what we were dealing with. Total TOT for 17-18 was $2,676,000. In income, that is from TBID assessment dollars, that's 3%, it's $802,000. Plus we had an incremental amount from the ad sales for our guide, and then we had a general fund allocation from the City Council of $125,428. So our total revenue into our budget was $932,598. I want to show you kind of a year-over-year synopsis of how it looked. You'll see that the year before, we trended really just holding for the year with Highway 1 being closed. And the estimate coming out of Jen Calloway's office is showing us with a slight increase this year, and she's expecting us to close at a little over $27 million in total receipts. For the year that we're reviewing, 17-18, you'll see on the right there it shows the total revenue. The expenses, meaning all of our advertising dollars, overhead salary, was $916. That left a total of a little over $14,000. That goes back into our fund to be reused. That's all I have to talk about for 17-18. So I want to talk about where we stand right now as far as our first 6 months in 18-19. The year's doing really good. We have some really strong things that the board is doing. Of course, we continue to work hard to put our marketing dollars to the highest possible use we can to secure room stays. But some of the other things that we're going to talk about is the big board initiatives. One is the VR and RV, bringing them into the bid and how that's going to happen. Another one is creating the strategic plan that has been completed, and we're starting to implement that. And I think you'll see over the next 2 years implementation on the strategic plan, and then the creation of our new website, which launched just a couple days ago, and it's doing well, but it still needs work, and it's going to take a long time to get it, really, really tightened. But we'll just keep working on it. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to bring up Lori Keller. Lori has been hired by the board to do all of our VR and RV outreach. And what it's done is it's allowed us the hoteliers and city staff, to not be, the villains of doing this situation. It gives a third party the opportunity to really hear them out, hear the concerns and needs, and then she'll be coming to the board and talking about that, and we can kind of work through how we get this done, because it needs to be done. So Lori, I'll have you come on up. I don't know if you want to stand or.
I think everybody can probably hear me.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, we're recording this and I need you on my.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, because it's
No
live.
worries, I'll just sit here. So about a month ago, Jennifer reached out to me, and excuse my voice, the super bloom has my super allergies going. She wanted to get an impartial third party to start having conversations with some of the vacation rental owners related to participating in the T-bid. And so I've started to have some one-to-one conversations, and at the end of this month we'll have some more group conversations. But I've met with some of the larger vacation rental management firms one-on-one that represents about 20% of the total vacation rentals. And there's some themes that are starting to come up, that bubble up. Really, I'm just asking questions and then taking notes. But one of those first themes is really that cooperation versus competition. Over time, I think it sounds like there's been some sort of, if you want to call it competition or rub or however you want to call that, but the vacation rental owners that I've talked to really want to work with the hotels to kind of create an environment where all ships will rise. They really are looking to the hotels to help them not only with advocacy, but they want to make sure that Morro Bay has enforcement procedures in place, and they want to do the right thing. So that's one of the themes that have come up. Also, there's a real interest from them so far in terms of focused investment. So they want to really try to work on communicating and working together with hotels on more of a longer view, a longer term. They want to identify specific programs that help both hotels and vacation rentals. I mean, obviously, midweek, off-season business is important to everyone. And so there was a lot of conversation about infrastructure and attractions that could be discussed and created to try to increase that business. Trying to remember what else that we, the infrastructure interest was really high, and I know that's not under the auspice of the T-bid specifically, but it was something that they all talked about in terms of visitor serving infrastructure, and they didn't get into a lot of specific detail, but it was things that they talked about regarding lights and just things that would help the tourist community really enjoy the area much more. So that was something they were interested in terms of the city funding. And then they really felt strongly that there was an interest in more communication. It sounds like some of the vacation rentals haven't been, and of course, when you're a one-person vacation rental and you live in Marin County, you're not going to be as involved in the community, but the ones that I did talk to, they were very interested in hearing more about the results of the T-bid and really being involved and included in the planning. So they really want to support things that have to do with the branding of Morro Bay. They felt like things like the Kite Festival, that came up several times as an example, really helped the overall branding of Morro Bay versus some of the other food and wine events or food events that didn't, that really provided more of just that weekend's occupancy, but not more of a long-term branding effect. And then the public relations efforts were mentioned quite frequently. So they really felt like being a part of having the visiting journalists come in, they felt like that helped to elevate the overall brand awareness of Morro Bay. So those are just some of the early comments, the themes that I've been hearing. The overall feeling from the people that I've talked to is that a 1% to maybe 1.5% assessment feels right to them. And so we'll have more meetings and get more public input, but just thought it might be interesting for you all to know at least what's bubbling up from the beginning.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. We have 2 public outreach meetings scheduled that are going to be at the Vets Hall on 4:30 and 5:22 to open to the public and hear what they have to say about VRs and coming into the bid. So we're going to talk about a little more going forward is what we've been doing for the first 6 months of this year. Highway 1 opening on the 20th of July, we did a very quick turn campaign. We wanted to get ahead of our immediate competition in the county and push this out. So we did a small buy that was all digital ads, very focused on international travelers. Our 3 strongest targets were Canada, the UK, and Australia. It did very well. It ran in August, and it led the pack before even SoCal got their messages out. So I like that. In September and October, we did our first wine promotion that was open to every hotelier. So we have done these in the past where the hotels had to pay to have the wine as part of their option, and we didn't have really strong support. I think we had about 7 hotels participate each year. This time we did free bottle of wine for 2-night stay for any hotel. They didn't have to pay. The bid paid for the wine, and it did really well for our first year. We saw a slight rise in occupancy and ADR. So I'm happy with that for first year. We had a total of 671 redemptions on that. We ran it over 2 months. I'm going to propose it actually again today at TBID to bring it back for next year as well. And I'm hoping we'll see a gain next year on growth for that. Oh man, we were doing so good. So we started the digital campaign in November for Bright Lights Boat City going into our holiday and our there we go, got it, into our boat parade, and it was running really, really strong, and I'm sure all of you remember we had torrential downpour the week before the boat parade, and we ended up moving the boat parade off that last day of November, unfortunately, and moved it into December. And so, I think we would have seen even better response on this if we had kept that date where it was, but we had to move it, unfortunately. And we did see a slight occupancy rise, but ADR was flat for the month of November. Our branding campaign is starting to get some traction. We've got, part of this is for our strategic plan. We're trying to get into the outdoor recreation kind of capital feeling for SLO County. We have every possible outdoor activity you can think of at our hands, and we can own that. And that's a really strong point on our strategic plan. So our ads really show the value of our outdoor assets. These are just mock-ups, just so you know, but this is Live Like a Local. It's the National Estuary focus with a couple hiking up Black Hill. And then Sustainable Fishing, Get Hooked, and this is about the Protect, Preserve, and Promote portion of the strategic plan. So I'm looking forward to getting more into that this next year. Another part of the strategic plan is to really push the idea that Morro Bay is a waterfront and a beach town. We have Bay in our name, so naturally people think of Bay, but they seem to forget that we have 6 miles of beaches, which is amazing. I mean, we have more beaches than most towns, and we need to promote that stronger. So you'll notice on the homepage for the website, it shows our beaches. So we're trying to really open that up a little farther and really show that we are a waterfront beach town. And then all the marketing dollars, they're focused all either north or south, not to the east of Morro Bay. So we're going after, up to the, San Jose area and then down through LA, Santa Barbara, and into Orange County. The target household income for the strategic plan is over $100,000. That is where we always have been with our ad dollars, just so everybody knows that's not a change for us, but that is also what was recommended in the plan. This section, the page that I have up here, is the things to do section for the new website, and you'll notice it says hotels, beach town hotels, and so we're trying to really get that thought out there that we're a beach town property, not just a bay. Some of the things that we're doing as a board is we're trying to really emphasize that, Morro Bay is small, and every hotel is so close to the water. It doesn't matter where you stay. You're like right there. And so we're trying to go back out and relook at every hotel and rethink how we're positioning them and really show how close, that is to the water or to the rock or to the bay, whatever we can show from the hotel angle. A hotel can be anywhere, right? A building is a building. We really want to show our assets, which is how close we are to the water. So that is what we're really kind of focusing on for the hotels. This is the photo on the left is the current website photo, and the one on the right is the new shot showing how close it is to the bay or to the beach and the rock. It's a huge difference. These type of things, they're simple changes, and they'll make a really good change on our website. So really looking forward to getting all of that processed through on the new site. So before Scott closes, I'm going to open to public comment, and then I think I'll show the website. Is that okay? Nobody? Okay. So do we have any public comment? Christine Johnson from the aquarium.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Christine Johnson, Executive Director, Central Coast Aquarium. Should I come to the front?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'll ask Bob. Bob, is that all right? Oh, okay. Well, in that case, let's go outside. So Christine Johnson, Executive Director, Central Coast Aquarium in Avila Beach, but actively working, hopefully, to expand our mission into Morro Bay. So I just thought I'd come by today. You're all key stakeholders in the tourism community, and as a potential new attraction, we would be too. So just briefly giving you an update on where we are, but before that, I want to talk to you about tourism partners that we have in Avila and what we do there, because it's unique to say, well, we already have an up-and-running nonprofit that operates as an attraction in Avila Beach, and so I can tell you a little bit about that, and then we can think about, what might that be here in Morro Bay? So let me catch my breath. All right. Nobody has a clock on. Oh, all right. Great.
I'll push on you when you're out of time.
Well, I will take a deep breath. But I do want to say congratulations to the success of what you're all doing with your investment money this year, and thanks always to hoteliers for kicking in a bit from their profit to make things successful for the community overall. As a resident of Morro Bay, I can tell you we do appreciate that. So in Avila Beach, we see about, depends on who you talk to, 200,000 plus visitors a year. Morro Bay seems about 800,000. So, Avila Beach is not like Morro Bay. It's not right off Highway 1. It's a little bit hard to get to. It's lovely, and it does have great weather, I have to be honest, but it's a little bit off the beaten path. So even so, with the aquarium being located there, we saw 28,000 people come into the aquarium, paying $8 a person, more or less, in 2018. And that's being open 6 days a week, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., closed on Mondays. Any new projected Morro Bay aquarium would be open different hours, maybe closing down on Mondays in the off-season, but being open 7 days a week during the high season. We just haven't done it in Avila yet. But I've only been there a year, so I can't make too much change. But who comes to visit us? We started about in July taking some zip code information. It's optional for the guests to tell us where they come from, but we feel like we've gotten quite a bit of feedback, and it's 75% of people who visit the Central Coast Aquarium come from outside SLO County. And then 24% come from inside SLO County. So if they're visiting us from outside SLO County, where are they coming from? And this is in order of where they're coming from: Kern County, Los Angeles County, Fresno, Tulare, and then Santa Barbara. We see a lot of people coming from Santa Maria to visit us. And then where do they come from within our own county? San Luis Obispo is the most visited, and then AG, Napomo, and Atascadero. Only 0.81% of our guests come from Morro Bay, actually. So the North Coast is not very represented at all. So we are seeing mostly South County. The Atascadero number is interesting, though, because I think there are a lot of families there, I'm assuming. Maybe that's why we've kind of exploded our membership numbers for this year. So maybe that's why Atascadero is a little bit higher. But that's also good news for something in Morro Bay because we're very close, 12 miles to Atascadero, too. Who do we work with in Avila? We work with Visit Avila Beach. They're your peers in Avila. And we work with California Highway 1 Discovery Route. That's the CBID for the county, right? We specifically work with their stewardship travel program, which encourages people when they visit here, to do some good. So we were granted, about 6 months ago, almost $2,000 from tourism funds to create a do-it-yourself beach cleanup. So we bought 50 buckets and 50 grabbers and gloves, and basically through the tourism connection, they say, hey, if you're coming, do something good while you're here, go to the aquarium, just show up, and then tell them you want to do a beach cleanup, Bob Jones Trail or the community. So that's a new activity for us, but it's proving to be fantastic. And they don't have to pay, by the way. If they just want to come and get the beach stuff, they can do it. But mostly they do, then visit us. Hotel packages. So we give discounted $2 off, or sometimes a free pass. Sometimes vacation rental people, they curate their guests. So when they have children, they come and they get a free day pass. But for example, some of the larger properties, we do a $2 off. I have some free passes, though, for you guys at the back if you're interested in coming to visit us and see what the setup is like. But for example, one of the properties, we just organize it. They just show their key card, and they get $2 off. So it's good for everybody because Avila, like Morro Bay, beautiful and scenic, but not a lot to do. So they're excited that we're there. Okay, where are we in Morro Bay? So since March, the City Council, Cal Poly, and the Central Coast Aquarium have kind of rededicated themselves to taking a 1-year time frame, now it's 11 months, to see if we can raise significant philanthropy to redevelop the Morro Bay Aquarium. What does that mean? It means that in January, there was a feasibility study that was completed. $30,000 was raised by 50 donors within our own community, $4,000 from the county and $10,000 from the city of Morro Bay to create a feasibility study. Based on those results, we're moving forward. What's next? Of course, another study. It's a $40,000 study again, but I did receive a $5,000 donation toward the study this weekend. So really, I'm looking to raise $35,000 within a really quick span of time. We took about 6 months to raise that 35 for the feasibility study, but the timeline's compressed. We'd really like to see what interest there is. So interestingly, there was not a tourism partner who donated to the first feasibility study. And the reason was I just didn't have to come to you. I had raised the money in time through other businesses and the county and some local folks. So this time, though, I probably do need you because we want to get to an architectural and exhibit concept plan. So me, I'm nice and chatty, and I can talk to anybody all day about the aquarium and why it would benefit Morro Bay, but we have to show a visual, a plan, and then that's exterior and interior. So I'm rushing. So at any rate, I'd like to raise $35,000 within the next, day or two. Really reasonably though. If we raised it kind of cold coming out of the feasibility study, so it would be great to have it within a month or two. I do have other donors who have identified themselves. So now I have the 2 bids. One is a local firm that works in Morro Bay. They're going to do the architecture. One is called Tenji. And they are an aquarium design firm. So they've each given me a bid. Okay, so questions? You can reach out to me at centralcoastaquarium.com. Thanks.
Wow. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Okay. I'm going to show you guys the new website. So where we are on this is it launched a couple days ago. There's still a lot of work to do. Give Megan a round of hand because she's working really hard. She has foot surgery tomorrow, so I'm glad she's here. And she's been going through every page and trying to get them tightened. And there's still a lot of things that need to be done, but it is up and running. So why don't you scroll down so you can kind of see how it functions. See the black at the bottom that shows events, so they're right there. And as you scroll down, there's the things to do. And all these, you can go into any of these sections and look at different things. And then keep going down. There's another booking widget there. It's really big on the screen. It's usually not this big. And then there's the events, and the events scroll through right to left, just like our old site did. So you can look at events that way as well. And there's the blog. That's all Megan's writing. And then there's the bottom. So that's the home page. So back up at the top. Maybe. So at the top we have, you can go into there's all different areas to go and look at hotels, but we're just going to go here, say hotels and motels. And this goes to, scroll down a little bit, Megan. So see like all that open space, we want to tighten all that up so you see it higher on the page. We're working on it. And you can change how you want to list these, distance, recommended, set them up in a map. And then there's categories on the left, which I really like, trying to give some people some options. And then if you want to, why don't you go into, how about let's do Ascot in. Go ahead and search, just say Ascot and see if it'll come up. So if you don't know the full name, it still comes up, and you can click on the site. And then in here, it's really nice because you can add all sorts of things. You can put as many photos of your property as you want, which is really nice. And then you can also, below it, you can put whatever you want for an overview. It links to your Google map to show where you are in town. And then below it, we have all these options. And if you don't have it, it goes away. It won't be sitting there empty. So don't worry about that. But it has like an offers button. And so we can put in if you have any specials you're doing, and they can see them all right there. So it's really, really user-friendly, which I really like. Why don't you go to the events page? If you click on events, there again on the left side, there's a section. There's also a calendar that you can look by date of when you're going to be there and see what's coming. So there's all different ways to search for the different events. Still kind of working through a few things on this. They're having a little bit of challenge, but I think it's looking pretty good. And then maybe under things to do, show them. There's like outdoors. If you click on outdoors, there's the beaches. And so we've got all of our beaches set up, maybe. Sorry. It's okay. So there's like different components for each beach. You can go into each one and see where it is and what it has. All these different sections, some of them have been written, some of them have been pulled over from the old site. So just bear with us while we keep working through. Each one of these has to be rewritten. Can you go under meetings at the top for me, Megan? So weddings, reunions, social. This is kind of a nice area where we can put in all the different venues. Right now, it pulled over from the other site, and some of the venues are kind of random, but we'll go through it and clean them up and add to them. I really think we need to go out and get some photography of the different things to kind of show them in use and how they would be used. And then it needs, on the left, it needs a category where you can section off, I want an outdoor venue or I want an indoor venue. Like you can pick different things for your wedding or your reunion, whatever you're having. So it's a work in progress. I think it's a good start and it's functioning well. Jackrabbit's working well, working through when you click on your different listings. So that's all running really well. You guys like it? Yeah? Yeah, it's a start. I'm really happy compared to what we had before, so it can only get better. Megan's doing a great job on it. So still same thing, if you have any special offers you want to list, you can send those to me or to Liz. Liz updates all the offers, or if you have any events coming in that you'd want to add for your specific hotel, we can add them. If you're having like a wine and hors d'oeuvre party one day, we can add it for an event at your hotel. So it has really great options to really boost up the hotel pages, which is really nice. Yes?
You want to maybe set up a system where we send those in? Might want to know. They're not getting
Yes. When my brain can get around it, I will definitely set up a system, Chris. So
make your life easier.
Yes, it absolutely will. So that is all I have. Anybody, other public comment? Or Scott, you want to come up and talk for a minute? Okay. Here's our city manager, Scott Collins.
It's nice having a microphone that works. This will be the new city council chambers. Don't tell the fire chief. Well, anyways, thank you all so much for coming today, especially the industry leaders and our board members. We've had a good run of successful boards, and I'm really excited about this new board. Brings renewed energy and focus, and really thankful to our tourism staff. They do a lot of work. We work well beyond the 40 hours a week on a lot of cases, working on weekends to help us succeed as an industry and as a city and a community. I'm going to start off with some of the challenges, of course. I'm a city manager. I like doom and gloom. That's what we do. And then we turn to what our opportunities are. On the just kind of bisecting this a little bit, on the industry side, some of the challenges are that the competition is increasing rapidly for all of you. Everybody's getting better at this game of marketing. And so it's sort of like, at what point do you reach where you can't get better and stronger? So, that's something that we are intently focused on, but it is a concern. And when we have small changes like weather events or road closures, it really demonstrates how vulnerable we are, when people can have other choices because the information is at their hand. So that's something we have to grapple with. But that's not just us, that's everyone in this industry. And then on the city side, our challenges are not unique in California. We face a fiscal cliff of sorts with the CalPERS pension liability. We haven't grown as a city. In fact, we've probably reduced staffing over the last 10 years, but our costs continue to climb because of things we can't control, mainly our pension and healthcare costs, especially pension. There was some decisions that were made in the past that we may or may not like, but folks that have earned their pension, they must be paid. But we also had declines in the stock market, and thus CalPERS looks to the cities to backfill those losses, significant losses. And the cost of doing business as we do today will continue to rise 10, 20, 30% increases in the next 5 to 10 years. And how are we going to fund that? Because our staffing, as I said, has actually declined over time. The demands on our staff have not. And so we want to meet the demands of our community, and that is our goal. And so figuring out how to do that is a challenge. But on the opportunity sides, again, looking at the industry, there's a lot to be said about that. On the event side, we have Amgen coming next month, which will showcase our awesome community to the rest of the world. Millions of people will see Morro Bay Rock and our community, and that's fantastic. And that's, basically a 2-hour commercial to the world, and it's hard to come by. Those opportunities are hard to come by. We just went through the strategic planning process, and it almost, in some respects, doesn't matter what the strategic plan says, but it's what it does. It brings the industry and the community together, and gives us an opportunity to say, hey, how are we doing, and how can we work better together? Because as I mentioned, that the competition thing is real. But we have advantages in Morro Bay that other communities don't have. We have uniqueness, we have authenticity, we have a price point that puts us at an advantage compared to folks like Pismo Beach. And it's all about how you market that and how you pull out the stories of our community and sell us to the rest of the world, and maybe people would reconsider or even understand what Morro Bay is and want to come because they see how cool we are. So that is something that we are going to take the advantage of and work really well with our board and the industry to make happen. And we rely on everyone to show up in those discussions. We have the new website that Jen demonstrated. That was really good work with the previous board, and Jen's team is making that happen. And then on the city side, we are going through a goals process right now, and today, 6 o'clock at the community center, we'll be discussing the next phase of goals and initiatives to make our goals come true. Finance and economic sustainability, I imagine, will be the #1 goal that comes out of that process. It's not smart for a city manager to get in front of his council members, but I've heard from all of them say that very same thing in public, so I feel okay about saying that, and it is true. It's a partnership between the city and the business community. We can't live without you, and you need us to succeed for your businesses to thrive, and that includes the hotel and restaurant industry as well. The involvement of the business community in this discussion has been off the charts, at least compared to what I saw in previous years and what I've seen in other cities that I've worked for, including Santa Cruz and Boulder. That is a really key thing, that the business community shows up. It's difficult to do that when you have to run your own business and you have to take care of your family and your employees. They rely upon you. It's hard to find time to step out of that and think about the global issues of your economy and your community, but people are doing it, and it helps us think strategically and focused about how to move forward. Some of the initiatives that have been discussed through that process, though no decisions have been made on it, so I want to make sure that's clear, is high-speed internet. There are companies interested in partnering with the city to bring high-speed internet to the whole community. And, while it might not seem like a big thing anymore because we all have our phones and it's, you just think about emails and things like that, it's not a big deal. But if you're a fledgling business owner, maybe working out of your home, having high-speed internets where you can upload to the internet 10 or 100 times faster than you currently can through the internet offerings, it's a big deal. And it could lead to diversification of our economy over time. These are important investments to consider. Can't think about just today, you got to think about 5 and 10 years down the road. The aquarium was mentioned by Christine Johnson. That is a partnership that we're seeing through. We hope through her Herculean efforts, as well as the industry and others in the community, step up and see what we can accomplish there, because we do need attractions in this community for people to stay more than one day, so that we're not just getting visitors who come to the Rock and leave and don't reinvest in our community. There's costs to them coming to our Rock and leaving, so we need to find ways of capturing a return on that. We were talking about potentially public-private partnerships where the city steps up and helps finance improvements in businesses. And that's sort of a stepping out, a risk-taking on the city's part, but understanding that we want to see your businesses improve because that leads to revenue coming back into the city to fund the things that you need, like roads, police officers, firefighters, et cetera. And we recognize that we play a big role in making our community look better than it currently does. I mentioned the uniqueness factor, the eclecticness. Those are the things that people love about Morro Bay. It's a reason why I came here, quite frankly, but we need some improvements. We need things to look better. And that requires the city taking smart steps, both financially, but also in terms of our general plan, local coastal program, setting the stage for redevelopment that fits our community, but gives us the necessary improvements that increases the offerings for folks who live here and people who visit here. So there's more things for people to do, there's more vitality, and those things lead to positive reinforcement and improvement down the road. So those challenges are real, they're significant, not something we can sweep under the rug. There are other opportunities on the hotel or industry front, like was discussed earlier, vacation rentals and recreational vehicle parks being part of the T-bid. I think there's a recognition that vacation rentals and recreational vehicle parks do benefit from tourism marketing, and it's not something they currently pay for, but it's all about going through a process that is fair and equitable, that incorporates the viewpoints of those who may see things differently. That's okay. Differences are okay. It can lead to better outcomes in the long run, so long as we involve folks in the process and move forward together. That's going to be fundamentally important. So those are some of the thoughts and musings of a city manager who doesn't sleep very much anymore. But ultimately what it boils down to is that the business community helps us and we help the business community. We got to do our part. We got to work together. And it's not just one time. It's keep coming back to the table. If we're going to talk about arts and culture, how do we improve our offerings? If we're talking about infrastructure, how do we work together on that? If we're talking about equity across the industry, how do we do that? It's a conversation that evolves over time. It's not just one point-in-time engagement. So I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have about what I just said, about the city, kind of where we're going as a community. I know we already did public comment, but that's sort of how we did it last year and it seemed to spark some good conversation. Or not. Can we get you the mic? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know where Elizabeth.
Yeah, my question was more on the lines of having events for 2 days. I mean, as opposed to the the Margarita Festival, where you have the Valley folks coming in on a bus, where they come in the morning, leave in the night. The Harbor Festival going from 2 days to 1 day. I've mentioned this in the past also. Now the farmers market is gone. All of our customers are mainly asking, what are we going to do? What's there to do in Morro Bay? And I mean, there's nothing we can really say as far as other than go to the beach. You know, I mean, there's nothing else bringing anyone over here. It's more of a layover point as opposed to a vacation spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit it on the head right there. You know, we have to think events is one part of the strategy or tactic, if you will, for multi-day visits. You know, they require kind of the private sector stepping up and saying, we want to bring an event to the community, and how do we make that happen? The city does currently fund through the general funds allocation to the T-bid that's been investing in events, but they've sort of been scattershot. There's some that are strictly kind of community focused, which is fine, but maybe that's not the purview of tourism. You got to think more strategically about what's going to bring people here who otherwise wouldn't come here, and what's going to keep them here for more than 1 day, as you mentioned. And that was outlined in the tourism strategic plan that said we need to have sort of a stakeholder group where that's discussed, and says, well, you know, globally looking at what else is going on in the county, because we have to factor that in as well. Last year, that the Margarita Festival was, you know, across the Strawberry Margarita Festival, literally the same day, you know. And so we have to step back as a region and say, hey, that should never happen. You know, we shouldn't be taking stuff away from other communities. So how do we think about it globally? But back down to Morro Bay level, we really need to sit down with hoteliers and event promoters and figure out where are our gaps and how do we encourage 2-day events, because those are expensive to put on, as you can imagine. But I definitely agree. We want more of those kind of offerings. It's just about when and where and how does it fit into the bigger picture. So if you're interested in participating in that, we'd love to have your viewpoints on it. Yeah. Right. Good point. Yeah, sure.
Just to expand on a little bit, I mean, we do encourage the different events that come in to expand to more days. I think the Lighted Boat Parade and Rotary has done it. You know, they now start Friday night and they go through Sunday, which is helpful. But we actively encourage everybody to grow their events. So, I mean, like Scott said, they're independent groups. I mean, we can't force them to do a 2 or 3 day event. It has to be, you know, their choice. But we are willing to help them and support them if we can get that. And we are looking at other events to come in. The board had approved WSL, which is a professional surf contest, to come here in 2020. And it's a 4-day event, so that'll be a good coup for us. It's the same one that's in Pismo. So that'll be nice. But we are trying to do that. But again, it's the individuals that have to do it. It's not, you know, not us. It's hard.
Our show is part of the Morro Bay's, I'm not sure, it was Morro Bay PD's event, right? I mean, it wasn't Morro Bay's? Because I thought it started with the, I forgot what they even called it, the Morro Bay's, the up and coming, huh? No, it was, I forgot. But I thought they were affiliated with the Morro Bay Police Department or the younger crowd that joins them. So I was just kind of wondering, you know, could Morro Bay possibly have an event that they could throw out themselves?
Yeah, I mean that's certainly something that could be looked at. I mean, we're 4th of July is an example. Right now we have a city event and it's at the Tidelands Park and it's for families, but it's during the day, and then, you know, folks go to Cayucas for a fireworks show. I mean, there's potential opportunity there to expand that into something else, but then stepping back strategically is like, does that make sense to invest heavily in a 4th of July event when tourists are already here? Or does it make sense to put that on the shoulder season when everybody's sort of struggling? You know, so the city certainly could be a partner in that. Amgen is an example. I know it's 1 day, but that is where the city's putting resources on the table, city, police, fire, public works, logistics, recreation, I mean, basically every department is involved in that. But that gives us 2-hour commercial to the rest of the world. So there's strategic value in that. We have the Bird Festival, which is it's a 3 or 4 day event, and that's again, that was homespun. That was a group that came forward. It wasn't the city doing that. So I don't think there's a perfect answer to that, but part of it is just keep continuing the discussion and figuring out what's going to make sense for us.
What about the Oyster Festival?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have to turn around that way? No, the camera? No, I think the best event we ever had here, it's been 10 years, me being in the town, was the first Oyster Festival we had it. Like, it was like super, like the heat. But I don't know why it's our own oysters. I mean, it's not my company, but, the Maloney family has been doing pretty great. And why can't we just bring it back and do it? Same thing during October. I mean, Harbor Festival, it's, pretty much we don't really see it's going any further, right? It's more like going down or declining. So if we bring back the Oyster Festival, that will help. So we can have our own oysters promoting Morro Bay, and they're all over now. So that just wanted to, let you know that. And then I don't know about the T-beat part. I mean, you still want to continue that, or, do it like how it was before, where, volunteering, taking over and, separate it out. So maybe it's better. Maybe they can have more. It's just my way of thinking that easier for them what actually, the spending-wise, the budgeting-wise, because, budgets goes up too. Like, same thing for us. We're running business, but we know how what the employee costs is all stuff going on too. But just, all those things I wanted to bring it to attention to reconsider everything. I mean, the website looks great, but the cost and stuff, I don't know how many bid we had it before or not, but, hopefully, it shows more, works better than the other one, I would say. Thanks.
Oh, thank you for those comments. I think the city has gotten better at this game. We obviously have a really strong tourism manager, which helps, who's been in the industry for how many years? 20? Too many years, I guess. And understands how it works. And then the city sort of behind that can really help. And that's why when I mentioned that it has to be a partnership. It's not just the city looking for people to come to us. It's sort of meeting in the middle. Yeah. Any other questions? I know Steve usually has a tough one, but not today, huh? All right. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming today and listening to our presentation, asking some good questions. And like I said, this discussion continues beyond today if we're going to succeed. And I know Jen has spun out some committee groups to look at specific facets of the strategic plan, like arts and culture, outdoor recreation, having folks who actually work in those industries come and talk to us about how we can make it easier for them to succeed. So this will be an ongoing thing that will lead to recommendations for the TBID board and ultimately City Council. Thank you.
TBID will start at 9:45.